Joining us now, conservative lawyer, Washington Post contributing columnist George Conway. So, George, clearly this was former Vice President Pence's strongest rebuke of the former president. I wish we had played the applause at the Federalist Society, because it wasn't as if there was a rousing standing ovation and he was carried out on the shoulders of the members of the Federalist Society after that.
Well, I don't know. I'm not able to judge the amount of applause on the video, but I will tell you this, that the conservative lawyers, for the most part, agree with Pence and were appalled at what happened on January 6th and have no qualms about that, about saying that. And that's what happened with Bill Barr. Bill Barr went in and to his credit, you can criticize him for other things, but to his credit, he told the president that no, you can't seize the ballot boxes or voting machines, and he told the president to his face in the Oval Office, President Trump, that you lost the election and there's no basis to claim fraud. And he got screamed at for it. And you have also all the lawyers at the Justice Department, other than one, who basically threatened to resign if Trump put into place as acting attorney general the one guy who was supporting the stupid and foolish electoral fraud claims. And that's why Trump had a lousy set of lawyers in the end, because the real lawyers, the real conservative lawyers and the real law firms wouldn't help him. And so, yeah, I don't think that, I think that it makes absolute sense for Pence to have picked this audience to make this statement at this time.
Do you think, well, I mean, the context, obviously, of this is also important. I mean, this week alone, we've seen Pence aides testifying one by one, cooperating with the January 6th committee to an extent. There are some things they apparently wouldn't talk about. We found out that the committee is going to receive Pence's records from the National Archives. How do you think the former president is going to react to Pence's comments, or what does this do to Pence's standing, for his own presidential ambitions?
Well, I think we already know that. We already saw that, because I think what really triggered this speech this week was the former president's statement that he issued over the weekend, where he basically said that the person who should be investigated is Mike Pence for not overturning the election. I mean, once he basically Trump admitted that he was trying to overturn the election, and then he, in an incredible example of psychological projection, he's urging an investigation of Mike Pence, which is completely insane. And I think that's, there's no upside for Mike Pence in kowtowing to Donald Trump anymore, if Trump's going to be saying that. And Trump, and to his credit, again, Pence did what he did on January 6th, which was to follow his oath of office and the Constitution of the United States. And it's just better for Mike Pence, in the eyes of history, to take ownership of that in a more emphatic way, which is what he did today, to his great credit.
Does it make any sense that the RNC put out this official resolution equating a violent attack on the Capitol with, I want to get the wording exactly right, with legitimate, I forgot the wording, legitimate political discourse. And then Ronna McDaniel coming out later and say, which, had nothing to do with the violence that occurred that day, when in fact, that's what they're investigating. They're investigating the attack on the Capitol.
Right. I mean, what Ronna McDaniel said was complete nonsense. I mean, if they wanted to make clear a difference between legitimate political discourse and the violence at the Capitol, they could have been more specific in the statement that they issued, in the censure that they issued. But they didn't. And the fact of the matter is, they're just lumping everybody together, including the insurrectionists, and that's what Trump has been doing. He's talking about pardoning these people, and he's not making a distinction between the people who have been charged with seditious conspiracy and people who have just happened to watch the rally and then went home. And the fact of the matter is, it goes, I mean, the criticism, I think, from the Republican National Committee is that somehow the January 6th committee has exceeded its mandate and gone beyond what happened that day. But it hasn't really, and you can't just look at what happened within a couple 2-block radius of Capitol Hill for 2 hours on January 6th, because it didn't just happen, accidentally, and it didn't just happen randomly. And, I don't know who they're talking about when they're talking about legitimate political discourse. Are they talking about the people who are breaking glass and assaulting police officers and throwing fire extinguishers at them and dragging them down concrete stairs? Are they talking about the people who put up the gallows to say, hang Mike Pence? Are they talking about the people who signed fake electoral votes and submitted them to the National Archives and to the Congress of the United States at the behest of the Trump campaign? Is it legitimate political discourse for John Eastman and that fellow in the Justice Department, Jeffrey Clark, to basically make fake theories about that overrule the Constitution and overrule the 12th Amendment and overrule the Electoral Count Act of 1887? Those two guys. I mean, is it legitimate political discourse? Those two who have now pled the Fifth Amendment before the January 6th committee? I don't think so. And so, it's hard to know who they're talking about here, who is engaging in legitimate political discourse, who is somehow being harassed by the January 6th committee. If somebody was engaging in legitimate political discourse on January 6th or the days leading up to that, they have nothing to fear from the January 6th committee or anyone else.
And I mean, to have that Mitt Romney is now such an outlier in the Republican Party, a man who was the nominee for the party, is just extraordinary. I mean, Romney. Yeah. Bill Cassidy, also speaking out against the censure of Kinzinger and Cheney, but the majority just silence. It's just, I don't know. It's stunning.
Yeah. It is stunning, and sad. I mean, we've gone from cowardice to depravity, really, in the Republican Party and the RNC. It's just horrific.